In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to play Survivor: The Tribe Has Spoken. Be sure to hit subscribe and click the Amazon link in the description of this video if you'd like to pick it up. The object of the game is to become the sole survivor by receiving the most votes at the end of the game. To start, each player will choose a pair of 2 survivor cards of the same color. These 2 cards represent your own tribe. Put any extra survivor cards to the side of the table. Next, take the action cards and remove the 9 tribal council cards and the 6 vote cards. Give each player 1 vote card and put the rest of those cards to the side of the table. After this, shuffle the rest of the action cards, dealing 3 cards to each player. You're allowed to look at your cards, just make sure that no one else sees them. Next, take the amount of tribal cards that you'll need based on the number of players at the table. Included in this game are the single elimination tribal cards and the double elimination tribal cards. You can put the rest of the tribal cards to the side. Shuffle the tribal cards you've selected, placing one face down at the bottom of the deck and spacing out the rest throughout the deck. The tribal council cards are purposefully bigger than the rest of the cards so that you can see them coming. After this, place the draw pile face down in the center of the table. Place the voting box right next to it, leaving room for the discard pile. Make sure that the voting slots are facing up. With everything set up and ready to go, everyone will then pick one player to go first. Now you're ready to start the game. There are 3 parts to every player's turn. The first part is to steal a card. Pick a player and steal 1 card at random from their hand. The second part, which is optional, is to play a card. You can play 1 card from your hand, placing it face up in the discard pile and following its instructions. The third and final part of your turn is to draw a card. You'll end your turn by drawing a card from the draw pile and adding it to your hand. Play then continues to the left. Now it's important to note that Survivor is all about creating alliances and outsmarting your enemies. If you want to win this game, you're gonna have to attack your enemies and help your allies. Did I mention that this game is made by Exploding Kittens? During the game, you can do anything and everything, from making promises to breaking them, from sending secret messages to misleading a player. However, there are a few stipulations. You cannot give one of your cards to another player or show one of your cards to another player unless a card instructs you to. You also cannot hide how many cards you have. Other than that, pretty much anything goes. When a tribal card is drawn, which must be at the end of your turn, place it face up in front of you right away to start a tribal council. If it's a single elimination card, the players will vote out 1 player. If it's a double elimination card, players will vote out 2 different players. If you're the player that drew the tribal council card, you are the tribal council leader. This means that it's your responsibility to start the voting process, tally the votes, and resolve ties. Let's walk through your role as the tribal council leader, as well as the whole voting process. You'll start out by saying, "Welcome to the tribal council. If anyone has a tribal advantage card, you may play it now or anytime before we vote. Keep in mind that any votes gained from a tribal advantage card must be used during the current tribal council. You can play as many of these cards as you'd like, but not after the voting has started." Then you'll say, "Now let's discuss who should be voted out. We can ask questions, form alliances, tell the truth, lie, and speak in private." Discussion continues until you as the tribal council leader decide it's over. Alright, that's enough discussion. It's time to vote. Here's how it works. During the vote, we're all gonna close our eyes and tap on the table in rhythm. In case you're wondering what the reason is for this odd rule, it's so that no one can hear how many votes are being cast. When the voting box is in front of you, open your eyes and put your vote card in the slot representing the player you are voting for. Then pass the box to the player on your left, even if they don't have a vote card. Tap them on the shoulder and close your eyes. Everyone must vote. I'll go first. If you'd like, you could put the voting box in another room and allow people to vote privately. As well, if you have additional voting cards, you can use them on the same player, a different player, or save them for next time. Everyone open your eyes. If anyone has an immunity idol and wants to play it, now would be the time to do so. Okay, I'll open the box and tally the votes. If it's a single elimination tribal council, whichever player received the most votes must flip over one of their survivor character cards. If it's a double elimination tribal council, the 2 players with the most votes must flip over one of their survivor character cards. Once the voting is ended, return 1 vote card to every player that's still active in the game. Discard all the other cards in the discard pile. After any voting session, feel free to blurt out, "The tribe has spoken." After the council, play continues to the left. If at any point both of your survivor character cards are flipped over, you are immediately eliminated from the game. Be sure to put all of your cards in the discard pile, but don't leave just yet, as you'll be called upon for the jury for the final tribal council. Now, in the instance that there's a tie between single elimination or double elimination, the tribal council leader gets to decide which player or players are voted out. However, if there are only 3 players left and 2 players must be eliminated, the tribal council leader must decide which one of the 2 is eliminated, thus immediately kicking off the final tribal council. If at any point it's unclear who is voted out due to too many ties, some players getting no votes, or other players using immunity idols, the Tribal Council leader must decide who to vote out based off of these criteria. First, be sure to choose from the non-immune players who received votes. However, if there aren't any, choose from the non-immune players who received no votes. Lastly, if there's not enough of them, choose from the players who played immunity idols. And now we've come to the final Tribal Council. The second that there's only 2 players left, the final Tribal Council begins, regardless of when it happens. The jury is made up of all the eliminated players, and each of the final 2 contestants must make their case to the jury as to why they deserve to win the game. The player most recently eliminated must become the Tribal Council leader. To kick things off, the Tribal Council leader should ask the 2 contestants these 3 questions. What was your strategy coming into the game? What was your best move in the game? And how did you outplay your opponent? The 2 contestants are encouraged to take as much time as they need in making their case to the jury. They're not allowed to play any cards, but they can show their remaining cards as evidence. The 2 players are allowed to respond to each other's statements. Conversely, jury members can ask questions and can even make their own case as to who they think should win. When everyone on the jury is ready to vote, they're going to put a finger up. And when everyone has a finger up, the tribal leader is going to say, "The winner of Survivor is 3, 2, 1. Then everyone is going to point their finger at the person that they think should win. Whoever receives the most votes becomes the sole survivor and wins the game. Keep in mind that if there's a tie between the jury as to who they think should win, the final Tribal Council leader will decide which player wins. The Tribal Council cards. When you draw this card, it immediately triggers a Tribal Council meeting. When the meeting is ended, discard this card. The vote cards. Each player gets 1 vote card at the beginning of the game and must use it to vote during Tribal Council meetings. The extra vote card. During Tribal Council meetings, you may vote using this extra card, or you can save it for later. The immunity idol cards. These cards can only be played at a Tribal Council meeting after everyone has voted, but before the votes have been tallied. Any votes cast against you will not count. You can also use your immunity idol to protect another player. The Sorry For You cards. Anytime someone tries to steal from you, play this card. They get nothing from you and must discard 1 card. If you play this card after an attack that would allow multiple players to steal from you, each of those players get nothing and must discard 1 card. The Tribal Advantage. Control the vote cards. Play this card during a Tribal Council meeting to steal a vote card from any player. Once you have the card, use it along with your own vote card. The Tribal Advantage. Goodwill Gamble cards. Give this card to any player of your choosing before voting begins. That player can then use it in addition to their own voting card. They cannot save it for another meeting. The Tribal Advantage. I'm the leader now card. Play this card during a Tribal Council meeting, but before voting begins to become the Tribal Council leader. Once the meeting ends, play commences with your turn or with the player after you if you're eliminated. The Camp Raid cards. Place this card face up in front of any player of your choosing. The next card that they draw becomes your own, regardless of what it is, but only after they've looked at it. After this, discard the card. Keep in mind that you cannot play this card on someone that already has a Camp Raid card in front of them. The Knowledge is Power cards. Ask any player for any card that you want. If they have it, they must give it to you. The Spy Shack cards. Look at any player's hand and take 1 card. Let's form an alliance card. Pick 1 player of your choice. You both get to steal 1 card from any player that you want. They can be 2 different players or the same player. However, you cannot steal from each other. The Inheritance cards. Each of these cards target a different color player. If a player that matches your color card is eliminated, you can play this card and inherit all of the cards in their hand. The Reward Challenge. Do or Die cards. Pick a player of your choice and play 1 round of rock, paper, scissors with them. The winner gets to steal 2 random cards from the loser. If it's a tie, both players swap 1 card of their choice. The Reward Challenge. Power Pair cards. Pick 2 players of your choice. On the count of 3, all 3 players, including you, hold out either 1, 2, or 3 fingers. If 2 players hold out the same number of fingers, both players steal 1 card from the 3rd player. If all players show the same number of fingers, each player will discard 1 card. If everyone shows a different number of fingers, redo the challenge. The Reward Challenge. It's a numbers game cards. On the count of 3, all players, including you, will hold out 1 to 5 fingers. The player that shows the lowest unique number wins the challenge and gets to steal 2 random cards from any player of your choice. If needed, repeat the challenge until there's a clear winner. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. Take care and be blessed.